Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Sunday morning. The footage you're watching right now is from a few days ago because this morning I've woken up to a lot of rain. Anyway, in this video I'm going to talk about a very painful and heartfelt conversation that Brandi Neal, mother of missing Michael Vaughan from Fruitland, Idaho, who has been missing, according to Brandi, 641 days. Michael went missing just a month after Summer Wells did, on July 27th, 2021. And if you've been following Michael's case, you'll know that there's been some horrible developments, and yet still Brandi and Tyler have no answers as to where Michael's remains might be. But they've had help from the Cold Case Foundation. And if you've been watching the developments over the last week or so in the Summer Wells case, you'll know that about a week ago now, Chris McDonough, who is an investigator with the Cold Case Foundation, spoke to Don Wells on the Labs channel, Josh, and said that he'd speak to Candice, and then there was some conflicting information that came out regarding that conversation. Now, I did a video on that, so I'll leave a link to that in the cards. In this video, we're going to review a conversation that Brandi Neal had with Don Wells last night on the Labs channel. I'm not going to play the whole conversation because I want you to go over there and listen to the context, listen to how angry Don was before Brandi got on panel. Brandi asked to go on the panel. This was very impromptu. Josh was just doing a regular show and Don asked to go on, and then Brandi asked to go on. It was a short conversation. I'm going to play you some clips from it and I'm going to review it, but please do go over there and listen to it. Chris came on also later, but I'm going to say this happened overnight my time and I fell asleep. So I don't know everything that Chris said. All right, so let's do this.
I will tell you that the Cold Case Foundation, they are just as respectable as the FBI, sir. They have been very, very helpful, and I understand your reservations with Mr. McDonough.
Brandi has been following the Summer Wells case, and what she said was so heartfelt. It's heartbreaking to listen to Brandi trying to persuade Don to get some help from the Cold Case Foundation. Now, Don, understandably, is very upset with YouTubers because it was YouTubers that lost him his job, and he now has to travel to get work. And he says that he can't go looking for Summer because he has to travel to get work, which is understandable, right? He's got to live. According to Don, he can't work in his local towns. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's absolutely true that YouTubers have caused a whole lot of problems for Don and Candice, and it's very true that they lost him his job that he'd had for several years. But when Chris offered help from the Cold Case Foundation, I did a video on that last week and I was very reticent about it. I said, I hope that this is a genuine offer. I hope this isn't Chris just finding a new way to have a go at Don Wells, and I hope that Chris is professional enough that offering the help of the Cold Case Foundation, while, Summer has been missing for 22 months, I really hope it's genuine. But at the same time, I knew that Don and Candice weren't going to take the help from the Cold Case Foundation because of Chris. And it's evident from this conversation and how angry Don was that he doesn't understand that Chris is just one investigator. There's over 100 people who work at the Cold Case Foundation. I'll leave a link to their website in the description box. I showed their website on my video last week. There's lots of investigators, lots of forensics people. They can draw on a lot of support, and they work alongside law enforcement. So they've got to have the agreement with law enforcement really to be an effective body of expertise. And I don't know, something tells me that Hawkins County Sheriff's Office aren't going to want the help of the Cold Case Foundation. But maybe the TBI might take them up on it. It's worth asking, isn't it? So Brandi goes on to explain more about the help that they've got from the Cold Case Foundation.
My personal feelings with the Cold Case Foundation, with our law enforcement, and the FBI, the Idaho State Police.
Right.
They have been helpful, sir.
Okay.
I promise you. Monkey has been missing 641 days. And we're getting answers as horrible as they are and as slow as they're coming. We're getting answers. So
Right.
please, you and Miss Candace, please consider.
We will consider it.
Consider.
No.
And all you have to do is talk to the TBI and talk to Hawkins County, correct?
We can talk to them, see what they say about it, and see if they want the help or whatever. That's no problem.
Will Don talk to the TBI though? I think talking to Hawkins County they're on a hiding to nothing. And I can understand Don being upset with Hawkins County. How often do Don and Candace talk to law enforcement about Summer's case? In Michael Vaughan's case, Fruitland PD have worked alongside Brandi and Tyler tirelessly. They've got a good relationship with Fruitland PD, and then by extension, the other law enforcement agencies that have been involved in Michael's case, and they have got answers. However painful they are, however slow they are starting to get answers. But with Summer, there's no such answers, and there's no such relationship, as I understand it, between Don and Candace and the law enforcement agencies involved in Summer's case. As far as I know, they're still considered suspects, so they're not going to tell Don and Candace things that are going on in the investigation. At this stage, 22 months later, that is heartbreaking, and it's easy, very easy, to say that Don and Candace don't want answers as to what happened to Summer. They don't want people really digging into the case because they know what happened to Summer, because they're involved, and they don't want the possibility of that being found out, obviously. And new eyes on the case, which I think is absolutely necessary at this stage, might draw their involvement into the limelight. Now, look, that's just one way to interpret the way Don's behaving here and the conflicting information that came out. Don said he would speak to Candace, and then he said it was Candace that didn't want the involvement of the Cold Case Foundation. Candace was in the chat of one channel and said she wasn't going to go over Don's head. So it begs the question, who's pulling the strings here? Who is pulling the strings here? So I'm going to get onto that in a second. But listen to what Brandi says next.
I wouldn't leave their door, sir. And my personal opinion, I would not leave their door. If I could find every possible way. I've been down the private investigator avenue as well. Our family has. We've done many private investigations and worked with law enforcement alongside of it.
The Wells have had private investigators for many, many months, and I'm sure that they've been helpful in their own way, but still, there's no answers. Brandi rightly says that she wouldn't leave law enforcement's door until they start actually producing some results. Now, perhaps law enforcement have done all of the investigations that they could possibly do, and there's still no answers on what happened to Summer. But the TBI have not updated to the public since November of last year. So what are they doing? And it's only the Wells that can get those answers as to whether there are any developments. And you see, it's easy to think that Don and Candice don't want those answers because they know exactly what happened to Summer. Or they might be so demoralised that they don't think that answers will ever come. Without badgering law enforcement, beating down their door, it's very easy for law enforcement who've got, a full workload, lots of other cases, to just put Summer to the side because it's too difficult. Holding their feet to the fire is the only way to progress. Are Don and Candice capable of doing that? I don't know. But don't they have a media manager? What is the media manager doing? Is it the media manager who is pulling the strings here? It's not Don, it's not Candice, it's the media manager, Tim Mullen. And Tim Mullen wrote on findsummerwells.com a little piece about this. Now, let's look at findsummerwells.com. And this is Tim Mullen's personal website, in my opinion. We've got here 3 days ago. And this is in response to the offers of outside help. It's in response to the Cold Case Foundation. The Wells family already has a private investigator. They do. But surely new eyes on the case is what's required right now. All professional investigators should contact the TBI first to qualify if their assistance is needed. And they should do. But the parents should be surely the ones that are facilitating this. Many emails, texts, calls, messages and YouTube videos keep asking about bringing in search organisations. The case of Summer Wells is not cold. Neither is that of Michael Vaughan. Yet the Cold Case Foundation have been supporting the family and supporting law enforcement, providing that new set of eyes, that extra sounding board that law enforcement agencies might need to keep going. The TBI and FBI are in charge. No, they're not. The FBI aren't in charge of the investigation into Summer Wells, are they? Has that changed? I thought it was a joint investigation between Hawkins County, who, in name at least, are the lead investigators, and then the TBI's in assistance. I didn't know that this was a federal case. I know the FBI card team were involved at some point, but the FBI are not in charge of the investigation, are they, Tim? That's all I can say. Be assured that the case is not cold. As I mentioned, TBI and FBI are the key players of the case, with all resources available. Well, okay. Hawkins County is a separate entity. It is, but aren't they the lead investigator? And if that's changed, how has that changed? I would like to know from law enforcement how that's changed. They can tell people, surely, that this is now an FBI case. If so, why is it an FBI case? It's good, if it's true, but is it? TBI is the state of Tennessee, FBI is federal. They are the best of the best. Cold Case Foundation, for example, would have to be contacted by them. But CCF is small scale compared to the FBI, so I doubt the federal agency would ask them. Well, yeah, but in Michael's case, they worked alongside the FBI. So, Tim, what have you got to say next on your personal blog? You see, I think it's Tim Mullen that's pulling the strings. Now, that's just my opinion. I think Tim Mullen is pulling the strings, and you have to ask why. Why? If Don doesn't want Chris McDonough involved, that's fair enough. There's over 100 other experts within the Cold Case Foundation who could offer assistants who have got the expertise to work alongside the FBI. Why not give them a try? Who's pulling the strings? Candice doesn't like Tim Mullen. Candice says she doesn't want to go over Don's head. Is it that she doesn't want to go over Tim Mullen's head? And, you know, it's all about Don. Tim has this little bromance going with Don. And Summer is in the middle. Summer has always been in the middle of all of these adults who behave like children. Brandi Neal knows exactly what it's like to have a missing child. Michael has been missing for 641 days. She also knows what it's like to be attacked on social media. And Brandi is willing to come on and speak to Don. What is Don willing to do for Summer? Because behaving like children, going all over YouTube for supposed help, is not helping. And there are people out there who can help. Do they want the help, is the question. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.